colleagues or younger people around you telling you, hey, you're really talented, or that, you're good at this. And then you're looking and say, okay, maybe this is something I can do.
Whatever that can go wrong will go wrong in my performances. குழந்தை வந்து வயர் வந்து பிடிங்கி விட்டுட்டு ஓடி போயிடும், அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய இருக்கு.
The tambura sound has a certain calming effect across the board. That's definitely.
Like in our times, it was cassettes and CDs. They helped us. So now it's social media, but this is far more challenging.
The moment you start thinking, I have this craft, what do I do with this craft? Then you get 100 different answers.
One day I asked Abhishek ji, I said, Abhishek ji, we're having a show tomorrow. Is everything okay? He said, "Neenga paarenga ji."
Sing a song that appeared in a film on a Carnatic stage.
I think there are many songs that are being sung.
The question was whether you will sing.
கேள்விக்கு பதில். I will answer.
பெரிய முதல்லயே வந்து ஒரு எல்லாரும் பண்றாங்க.
And there is one guy who's got the power of the pen.
Don't look at me.
நீ தான் என்ன பார்த்த. இதுல வந்து பணத்தை சம்பாரிச்சு மாசம் நம்ம பில்ல கட்ட போறோம்.
They never said, oh, இதுல பணம் இருக்கு பண்ணலாம், அப்படிலாம் இல்லவே இல்ல.
பணம் இல்ல
இல்ல பணம் இல்ல ஒண்ணு. இது பணமா ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனலா ஆக்சுவலி யாரும் பார்க்கறது இல்ல.
I was singing a concert during a music season. 45 minutes down the concert, I told the audience I'm leaving.
Stage fright is a genuine thing, right, for some people. Has anybody actually experienced it?
Stage frightங்கிறது I think
கொஞ்சம் போச்சுன்னு வச்சுக்கேன் ஸ்ருதில. It is not an unaware position.
I'm saying if you're going to say, oh, இந்த கிரிட்டிக் இப்படி எழுதிறான், மேபி என்னோட குரு சொல்லி கொடுத்ததெல்லாம் தப்பு, நான் வந்து மாற்றி இப்படி ஆடுறேன், அப்படி பண்ணால் இங்கேயும் இல்லை அங்கேயும் இல்லை.
Sometimes the criticism has been very useful.
Does not mean that the suspension is gone.
I'm just
No, let me finish.
இவங்களுக்காக இது பண்ணணும், எனக்காக பண்ணணும், அது அழகா பண்ணணும், அவ்வளவுதான்.
The problem now is the only means through which these music directors are looking for talent is saying who's the next voice on Instagram, and I have a problem with that.
Title sponsor the Chennai Silks. Let the celebration begin. Grand Royal Tours. We make sweet memories. MCR Pure Cotton Club. Formal and casual shirts. Presta Women's Wear. அனைத்திலும் பெஸ்டா பிரஸ்டா இன்னோவேர் லெகின்ஸ் அண்ட் நைட்டிஸ். Presents Galatta plus Carnatic mega round table supported by KFC. Full on variety, full on chicken. Milky Mist. Login 360. Start your dream IT career. Powered by Jayachandran. குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம். தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில். Jayachandran. Darling Solar. 20,500 முன்பணத்தில் இப்போது சோலார் மூலம் இலவச மின்சாரம். Hospitality partner Hilton Chennai.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Galatta Plus Mega Carnatic Roundtable. We're doing this for the first time, so thank you all for being here. And when I say it's good to have representation from the dance fraternity, from the percussion fraternity, and of course the music fraternity, so that's just wonderful. I'll begin with this question, and please feel free to take it forward any way. Anybody can step in. Now, like all of you, at some point you must have just entered this. Somebody must have put you in a part class or a dance class or something like that since you start learning. This is at a very young age. At what point did the thought occur that, okay, whatever I'm doing, okay, now this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do, this is my destiny. When did that click happen?
I think there were multiple clicks. I come from a family where there were musicians, so I was brought into this right from the start into the fold. So there it was not much of addition, but from then on, how and what was learned, how the whole thing evolved over time. I think there were multiple clicks over time, but college was the time when a lot of things really settled in my mind in terms of, okay, there are some instincts as an artist that I have, and there are avenues to take from there. So a lot of help was also there at that point of time. So I would pick college time as the grounding period for me in that.
Do you remember the time that you said, okay, listen, this is what I need to do? When did that, like, how that happened?
Not specifically, but the entire...
Is there some event? Is there some moment?
No. So what about college? I will probably answer that question. So I stayed in a hostel for 4 years, and there were other musicians who used to jam. We all used to jam every night. and that kind of really gave me a space to explore the art form beyond what I was just doing, because all of them came from different spaces. But coming together and finding those common spaces really was a very enriching experience. And then that opened up a lot of avenues for me. So
Okay.
I would say that was the clicking moment in that.
Nice.
There was never a clicking moment of me wanting to be a dancer or an artist. So எனக்கு எப்பவும் in the film career, being in the films and training traditionally always went hand in hand. There was not a moment where I wasn't doing either. So I was too busy to think about certain needs, to do something, to want something. I was just it. I was forever shooting, or I was forever practicing, or I was forever taking classes. And one thing that if I can add to when you said college, I felt myself very different in school. So I actually preferred going for classes. I didn't prefer going to school so much. I was very comfortable in whatever I was doing, be it any artistic situation. I found myself focusing. Right? So I think that's it. I was always that way. And there's no difference in anything. For me, I'm just what I do.
Right. Does anybody have a counter to that, as in?
I think I had two different points. One was to be serious about music and being a musician, which happened in my teens when nobody asked me to practice. I was just honing the craft. But to enter the music industry and to become a musician professionally was with what happened around me. When I got opportunities, I just said, okay, why not explore? So I see it as two shifts, because being a musician is one thing, but being in the music industry is a completely different thing. So I would say two breaking points.
Right. Now, a question to both of you. When does one know? So you go through this rigorous training and all that, but when does one know you are ready?
Ready for the stage? Oh, Jayashree.
I don't think I knew I was placed there.
That's true.
Mother's dream, then the teachers, gurus decided it was time. So I was following what they said under their guidance until I found that my self-expression.
Right, but did you have you said mother's dream, the gurus placed you there, but when, and slowly that became your dream as well. Is that how you're putting it?
I don't know if it was my dream ever, but I just did it very dutifully and found peace and pleasure in it.
Okay. What about you?
That's fine. I mean, that's quite beautifully put. I think I agree. At 12 and 13, you really don't know, to be very honest. You're told you're talented, you're told you can sing a bit, you're given a stage and you sing, that's it. The good thing is at 12, there's nothing called fear.
Yeah.
So you just get out there and belt it out, literally, right? So at that point, I don't think you have this is your life or this is your career. I wanted to be an economist till I was in college. So I didn't want to be a musician. I never even thought that was a possibility. And I come from an environment where there was music, but not musicians or dancers in the family. So come from a business family. So it's a very different mindset, I guess, in some way. So you just started doing it. And then I think that there's also reaffirmation coming from the environment around you, which you can't which is a very big part, like colleagues or younger people around you telling you, hey, you're really talented, or that, you're good at this. Or seniors, I think they play a very important role when they come and say, I think you should take this seriously. And then you're looking and say, okay, maybe this is something I can do. And I also think that there's a time difference between, say, when 2000s to, say, the 80s, right? In terms of these decisions or these choices, right? Are made. So I think there's a very different mindset that you come in that, and you don't think this is a profession in that sense. That word doesn't enter your head, right? I think that the younger people have that concept as a conceptual. It's not an abstracted. It's a very, very concrete idea.
The concept of
profession.
Okay.
Of music or art as a profession. You talk about any art field, right? The notion that it's a profession I mean, you could go, I mean, if I was going to use a loose parallel, it'd be like an amateur cricketer was a professional cricketer. There's a whole transition that happened in various countries. Like in England, at one time, if you played county cricket, you were an amateur playing, and then it becomes professionalized, right? Similarly, I don't think we had this professional idea. இதில் வந்து பணத்தை சம்பாரிச்சு மாசம் மாசம் நம்ம பில்லை கட்ட போகிறோம், for example, right? Now, I think the younger generation have that concept very clear in their head. So there are the parameters that are you take into account are very different from the parameters we took into account, I think. And I think that also changes the way you leap, or you're already there in Shobana's case, or in Jayashree's case, like, you do it. And after a while, you find that that's what your calling is also, right? So I think it's a very interesting series of events that happen. Yeah. And suddenly, I think at some level, suddenly you find it's, oh, I'm here, kind of a situation, right?
Yeah, our gurus also never, they never showed us a path as how to make money out of it. And you follow them only, So then they never said, oh, idhula panam irukku pannalam. Abdiyella illave illa.
Panam illa.
Illa, panam illa onnu. But they never, tried to monetize anything, is what I say. Even in dance class, while teaching, I don't remember paying my guru a cent. Yeah. And so in the Marida, we've also, at least our generation, we also did not actually commercialize it. But for me, I began to see other people commercializing my art. That's when there was like an alarm bell ringing. But otherwise, just as you said, இது பணமா ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனலா ஆக்சுவலி யாரும் பார்க்கறது இல்லை. இப்போவும் பெருசாலாம் இல்லை. Even my colleagues, all my senior colleagues, I don't think they look at it like that.
So, yeah, I think it's very interesting. Can I shoot a question to Jayashree?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm asking this question because there's also a locational difference for you. You grew up in Bombay. You grew up in a different place, and then you kind of transplant yourself to Chennai. Yes. This idea, right? And I mean, the only reason you're coming here is music, right? That's also a very different kind of a movement, right? That changes your mind in many ways. Can I talk about that?
So I came here to attend a few competitions in the Music Academy, and then had the greatest blessing of my life to come under my Guru Sri Lalgudi Jayaraman sir. And his way of looking at music or teaching me and guiding me changed my view about music itself. How to look at it deeply, and how to look at music as your own life breath. So though I didn't like Madras at all in the beginning, it was very difficult for me coming from Bombay. Music and his home, the classes became the focus and the center of everything. So my Madras began from that home. So it warmed around me and embraced me totally.
That's lovely. I've heard you talk about this a lot, actually. A question for both of you from what Krishna said. One is, he talked about the word fear. Has anybody, stage fright is a genuine thing, right? For some people. Has anybody actually experienced it? You saying you didn't?
Every time.
Will you call it fright? That's a question I have for you. Will you call it stage fright?
Well, the term is stage fright.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there is a nervousness,
it could be
right?
butterflies, it could
there
be
is a nervousness.
Stage fright, I think there is a nervousness, yes. Stage fear also, but it's only for me, only when they put the tanpura, appadan எனக்கு எல்லாமே நிம்மதியா வந்து I calm down. Until such time, it's like always horrendous things happening.
Anxiety, even now.
Yeah, I mean, there is that.
Anything can go wrong.
I mean, there's that moment when you're like, and I also think that every artist in a way also creates their own process to deal with it. Some people do it naturally. Some people consciously create a process. So like when you come to a concert place or to a performance place, there are certain things that you'll end up doing almost like a routine. Even could be some people, the way they take the things out of their bags. If you notice, some artists will do it exactly the same way. I used to do something for a very long time and I didn't realize I was doing it exactly. My watch will come out of the first song. Always. Not anymore. At one time, it always came out of the first song. And I think that it was not something that was accidental. It was a process. It was a way that I was settled. So the watch could come out. So I think there are also little things that artists develop in the green room or as they get onto the stage. These little routines that also settle you. So
Yeah,
I think
I have a routine.
Huh.
Before starting, as she said, actually, great point. The tambura or the sound has a certain calming effect across the board. That's definitely, hopefully, no one else talks during that time. Just the tambura going around definitely does calm you down. I just close my eyes for like 2 minutes before the curtain opens or something. That really brings me, because otherwise, too many things are running in your head, and to center yourself and get that focus in requires some kind of grounding. So I close my eyes for 2 minutes. I don't listen to anything, then start. That helps.
How
That-
different we all are. I mean, I just revel in madness around me. So we've also worked together. So the concerts when we were doing it, and then she used to just come into the room, and there's so much of hustle bustle. I was thinking, oh my god, these are serious artists. I don't know how they're going to just get in the ambience and actually calm down. So for me, I need that chaos, busyness in order for me to find my
yeah, I think
space.
it's
Lovely.
true.
Yeah.
So
Contrasting.
so when she comes down, she's like, she's so calm.
That's Jayashi's permanent feature.
I'm like, a couple of rehearsals also, she's calm. And then one day I asked Abhishek, I said, Abhishek ji, we're having a show tomorrow. Is everything okay? He said, "Neenga paarenga ji."
So I think it's very thing.
And of course, I mean,
I think each one that for me, I have a capacity of switching on very fast. I can switch on and switch off like that. So that helps a lot. I can be on now. I can be off now. So I don't need it's my mechanism. So I think everyone has that little thing. Chaos could be one. Tambura could be for him.
What's for you?
So I don't have a routine before a typical Carnatic concert, but when we do other shows where you need like a blast of energy for 30 minutes, then you don't have time to warm up. So I actually jump around and do 50 squats just to make sure that the first song is like bang on. Because the way we're trained to spend our energy on stage is very different when it comes to a Carnatic concert. So it differs based on space. If it's a massive festival, then it requires a different
it changes.
energy.
The ambience is another very, very big important, right? If you're in a very small place, in a
Unplugged
private
kind of
place,
sound.
suppose you're going to do something here, compared to say all the lights are on kind of a place.
Thiruvaramari.
Yeah, everything changes, right? And so that also influences your own spirit in that sense. Definitely does.
And the other point I wanted to ask you two about is when he said that today people are more aware of the fact that this is an art form, yes, but it is also a way of making money. Was that like something in your head when you started for both of you? Like this could be a genuine profession kind of a thing?
So I think the idea was not to make money. The idea was to sustain yourself. Because we come from modest middle class backgrounds, and idea of independence is so because you talk to your friends and everyone's independent and you want to just make your ends meet. So music was always there, but I never took up music as my profession. So that switch happened when we kind of understood that it was a sustainable model so that you can keep doing what you're doing. So it was a very considered call at that point to make sure that you can sustain. And I do see that you could sustain as an artist with a whatever decent financial model if you have certain goals set for yourself.
Yeah, I think one difference is access to information on what are the pros and cons of taking this as a profession from our seniors, right? I've had several conversations about this as someone who has always had this dual profession kind of a thing. When do I make the call? What cold call do I make? So access to information on what has happened, what are the challenges one faces, and are you okay to face those challenges? I think that is a key difference in terms of looking at it as a profession.
I think that's the thought process I'm talking about. The ability to think in this manner is something that's quite fabulous, honestly, right? To be able to think, there's a lot of clarity in what you just said, right? I don't think any of us had
We
this
just
kind
jump into
we
it and
had
then
no
say,
such
"Oh, no."
clarity, right? That's what I meant. To be able to analyze that situation as a boss, okay, I would like. So even when Ashwat is going to come and say, speak to Jayashree or me or Shobana about this, he has a thought process I think it's really commendable, actually, in many ways, that they have that.
No, Jayashree, I want to take you back to one of your many interviews that are recorded on YouTube, and there's one place where you say this very beautiful thing that when you were learning from your guru, it was very different from the way you learnt music earlier. And if he was, teaching you Bhairavi, the whole room echoed of Bhairavi.
Yeah.
And the words that you said were, were very beautiful. You said even if somebody brought in a cup of coffee or a cup of Bonvita and placed it down, the sound that the cup made seemed to be something from Bhairavi. It kind of seems like what you say, losing yourself in music or being in a trance or however you want to put it. But I'd like you to just explain that, because you just mentioned that and then you moved on to the next point. But I'd like you to explain, what is it like to be inside art?
Inside Bhairavi.
Yeah, inside Bhairavi. Yeah.
Well, I think that that is the level of depth that he was in. He was inside the music always, and he literally held our little hands and tried to take us into that world. So everything the wardrobe, the wires, the lights, everything became that ragam. It was like a spell.
Okay.
And it made one believe that it's possible to be in that spell too and create that kind of magic if one worked and focused. So many hours and many days and months and years of that is what held me on to this art form. The concerts were just a byproduct.
Okay. You're nodding a lot. You identify a lot with that?
Absolutely. I think immersive is the word I was at least running in my mind. That whole space being... the reason I was nodding a lot is because I think today, teaching and learning, and when I say teaching and learning, I'm specifically talking about classes, have become very time-boxed exercises thanks to online platforms coming in, etc., modules being there, pre-recorded modules, etc. But what Akka is referring to is actually not looking at the clock, but being in that zone.
Never looking at the clock.
I think that kind of teaching and that kind of learning has definitely come down a lot in today's scenario.
Right. And how in terms of when you perform Shobana, do you, that level of immersion do you experience, or are you always aware that I'm performing I can see the audience, I can, like I'm performing, or are you just lost in your world? How does that?
Well, it's all reference to what you're saying. I'm just a bit confused. Of course, you see the audience. It's like you can't get lost in it because you're performing, and then you need to, especially if you're, example, if you're dancing in a group, you need to know who's going here and there.
Yeah.
And being in the films, also you're trained to hold back. You're always trying to hold back and to survey yourself, right? That's just the logistical part. And then there is a part of what your job is to create, right? So everybody has different reasons how we can actually get motivated, inspired on stage in that particular thing. As we were saying, every audience is different. Every setup is different. There are so much of situations where it's not conducive to really immerse yourself so much. Or Tiruvara or some conference you'll be going to, they'll book you for an official conference, and then they'll be eating there, they'll be jumping. That does not mean that they're disrespectful. It just means that we didn't get down to telling them not to do it. We know. So there are so many kinds of performances, there are so many kinds of audiences. So I just go out there and do my job, right? Now, even if the audience can take back a little with them, we can't expect everybody to understand what you're doing. Namakke sometimes matavada patava puriyadu, dance. So, but it's just that we have to.
I think we should stop you there, Aashik. Elaborate that point. It's very interesting show.
I know.
Change. Krishna was not the first person.
You've just now thrown the.
Illa. I'm just trying to finish this line before I get sidelined. I'm saying it is, for me, I always look only at the music to immerse me. If I don't connect with the music, then I'm actually lost. I'm just an empty shell. So I'm very, fortunately or unfortunately, dependent on the music. So it's not just me going and doing something or seeing the audience. All of that is just the premise of a performance. But beyond that, if I don't have the right kind of music, I see everything.
That's nice. That's like films. It's a collaborative art. It's for you. It's
Yeah.
not just just you out there. So
No.
well, you come from a generation now where percussion is seen in a very different way. In the earlier times, it was they used to appreciate it, but there used to be a space for a percussionist to showcase their skills on the Carnatic stage, on the music stage, and but the rest of the time it was like an accompaniment, which is no disrespect, but that's the general thing. But now with the avenues, you can have concerts, you can do different the rhythm and everything has become so much more different. How has that helped you in terms of showcasing your art?
போய் பேசக்கூடாது நிஜத்தை பேசணும்.
Okay, I'll start off by saying accompaniment is very difficult, and it's something that I keep working on, and I just feel that's one of the most difficult things to do as a percussionist. It's slightly more easier to do a solo show where you prepare 5 or 6 compositions at home and you go and showcase that. Yes, requires a lot of effort at home. You go through a thought process, but it's still not as difficult as a collaborator on stage, because when you're collaborating, you're listening and creating at the same time. But the fact that percussion has opened up, the avenues have opened up, is such a blessing. It's in fact one of the main reasons why I'm doing music full time, because one thing that I told myself is I need to be excited every day if I'm in music. There's no point in seeing it as a chore or just showing up every day and presenting something and coming back home. So that has helped me to put percussion in different contexts.
So you're not excited by playing only Carnatic kacheris?
I didn't say that. My starting point is
I understand.
okay. I keep working on that.
கேட்ட கேள்விக்கு பதில்.
No, I get excited. No. I get excited by technique and like honing the craft more in that direction, because it requires a lot of constant learning, just practicing that craft and to just go there and present it. But this puts you in a very vulnerable space. Sometimes you're presenting.
That is accompaniment.
No, I'm talking about the solos, where you're presenting your art form to an audience who don't have exposure to Carnatic music. There, I actually feel really scared because I don't know what if they boo me away from stage. So it's a blessing because you're excited and you're vulnerable also. And I think there's tremendous potential when you kind of remove this context and place it out there. So I'm really excited. I'm so glad that it's happening.
Ask me what to do when they boo you on stage. I have a lot of experience.
That has happened to you?
Many times. So anyway, now let me ask you a question. Okay. So, உங்களுக்கு என்ன exciting? Like when you, what do you look forwards when you go on stage? What is a perfect concert for you?
There are good days and bad days and so days, right? In some way I'll just take off from the conversation of, immersion and stuff and, kind of a suspended reality in some ways, right? What I want to say is there's something else that happens in that space that I want to point to is, and I'm going to use the word carefully, it's an impersonal space. In the sense, in that suspended reality, it could be films, like in anything, right? When you immerse yourself in a film or when you immerse yourself as a singer or as a dancer, whatever, right? At some point, it's not you in appreciation of your art. So there's a certain detachment that happens in that space. And I think that's the magic of that space, actually.
That's what I said.
The magic is that detachment. The moment it detaches from you, you are also saying, wow, right, at something, right? And I think as a musician, if that happens when I'm singing at home, in the bathroom or on stage, it doesn't make a difference. If that detachment happens, then there's something very precious about that space, right? And to me, a beautiful concert will be a detached concert. In that sense, I'm using detachment very carefully here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's for me the beautiful concept where, we all love the applause, we all love all that, right? But then something else, there's a shift. When you say that the room smells of a raga, or what are you actually saying? It is suspended reality. It is it is a suspension of the tactile in some way, and it's almost like in the film when you can just suddenly go out and you're looking at everything, right? I mean, this crazy shot that you have everybody looking in. It's that crazy shot actually. It's that totally bizarre shot where you're actually looking at it and almost an outer body kind of a perception, and you are saying, "Wow, what a story being told over here." And I think that to me is a beautiful evenings or days.
Can I ask
that
you,
happens.
does it hit you in waves or is it like a passage of time?
It can happen however it can happen. It can be the entire 2 hours of a concert. It can be 2 minutes.
You've had it for 2 hours because when you were saying that
It's possible.
there's awareness that you are still presenting something, but I feel like, say, I've experienced suspended reality in moments.
For me, I mean,
It just happens and then you come back and, oh, is my instrument in tune? Am I heard?
So, no, hang on. So there are 2 different parts over here in what he's saying, right? Now, your consciousness of those things, right, of, say, instrument and tune, does not mean that the suspension is gone.
I'm just...
No, let me finish. It does not have to mean. It could. It could also be part of that attention to that nuance is an acute awareness at that moment. That konjam pochinu vechunge shrutilende. And that little, because it's disturbing something and you're so acutely aware. So it is not an unaware position. It's not like you're not aware. But there's a beauty about that awareness. Okay, so it's possible for a long period of time. It's possible that an entire concert is like, it's possible it's 30 seconds. It's possible it's never there. And it could be like you said, sometimes it's possible that you're having a concert and you're singing at home for 20 minutes and wow, you don't want to go to the concert. You sang at home is like, what happened at home is done, yeah, boss. Let's just stay at home. You know, I have a crazy experience at a concert. It happened to me many years ago. I've never done it after that. I was singing a concert during a music season and 45 minutes down the concert, I told the audience I'm leaving. And I left. I told the audience, I feel whatever music needs to happen today has happened. I can sing for another 1.5 hours, but I'm going to sing mechanically. And I actually walked out. I felt like that at least a zillion times after that. I've never walked out. Because just after that, all that happened around that event was such a waste of my mental space.
If you walk out,
of my mental space. I was like, I paid a ticket, I came all these questions, right? All these questions come in. And these are complicated questions. I have never, I've never done it after that. But that's what I mean. I mean, that 1 hour was done. That's just done. I was happy going home and I was sitting at home very happily after that. But then we also do the other side, that we know we are also performing within quotes.
But Jayshree, does that out-of-body experience happen with you as well? Because on the one hand, we're talking about immersion. On the other hand, we're talking about an out-of-body experience where we are watching ourselves do something. How does it happen with you?
Yes. I think only when I, like he said, completely detach from what's happening and look at the entire music, the art, like someone is watching or someone is listening to me. Then there are moments that I can't explain in words. And it can happen with intense focus, very deep anxiety, not being comfortable, trying something completely new for the first time. All of that, but this can happen. And it can be sustained many minutes, or it can be just a spark and it can wither away.
The times that you felt that, okay, I totally killed it, as people say today, I totally nailed this concert, this was a fantastic, have there been many of those? Because
Yes,
the
of
audience
course.
says so. What do you feel?
There have been many such moments, but it's not necessary that the audience feels, or someone who's very close to you and knows your music feels those moments as being the same as the moments that I
Absolutely
perceive.
true.
They can be completely, like there are concerts when I feel I really felt something happened today, and someone who's very close to you comes and says, today you were very mediocre. So it doesn't coincide. But those moments that I personally felt very beautiful about, they propel me to more practice, more learning, and then many more performances.
Have you felt that when, let's say, you think you've done something and then somebody close to you, maybe your guru, maybe somebody, your family, whatever, they come and say, it just did not happen today. How do you reconcile the two things?
It has happened many times, many times. I think for me, I get very quick that clicking in, clock in, clock out thing that he spoke about. I'm very sensitive about it. Like small things like just get me out of the zone. So when all those things align, sound, accompanist, the tampura, everything needs to align in a certain way, then those moments happen. And but yes,
Sometimes we tune out our colleagues on stage also.
The people who are accompanying you.
I didn't say. I just said colleagues. I use it very.
I'm still
I said it very carefully.
I'm still maturing on that front. I can't do that. Small things disturb me very much. But when all of them align, then I think those are the times when.
It's true, right?
There's this movie F1 where Brad Pitt talks about flying.
Yeah.
I think that's what
it is.
When all things align, then you're in that zone where you can really, like, everything seems to click in your. But as Akka said, do the audience perceive it the same way? Not all the time.
Right.
For me, sometimes it's just me and the mic for 3 hours.
Wow.
There's a certain distance, a soft spot that they say. If I can bring myself to achieving that soft spot, say for the 10 or 15 minutes, after that, nothing matters. Nobody matters. Just me and the mic. And I can go on for a longer time.
Lovely. Many filmmakers, when they're asked, they say, I make movies for myself because I'm the audience, and if I'm happy, then I'm sure that at least some part of the audience is going to go home happy. There are other filmmakers who say, I explicitly write or direct keeping the audience in mind because I want certain moments to hit them and give them a certain effect. I want each one of you to talk about how you address this audience question versus singing for yourself question.
For me, I'm just listening to everybody, and I've understood that I've trained very differently. Ever since I was young, I was always given these opportunities that were not normal,
Yeah.
because from the films there were tons and tons of opportunities to perform, and that's also how I've honed it, as you were saying. And they were all not your typical performances when there is silence and
Exactly.
there is discipline and people listening and waiting for you.
Mm.
Never. So I have actually trained myself in that heat for at least 2 to 2.5 decades. I've just gone through audiences who were never quiet and now are, right? Because 2 years they'll come to see you because of an actress. Would they come for 3 decades? I don't know. So going through that, I think, has given me a very different perspective of not getting defocused, not letting the small thing. For me, there's always these large stages, and whatever that can go wrong will go wrong in my performances. குழந்தை வந்து வயர் வந்து பிடிங்கி விட்டுட்டு ஓடி போயிடும் அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய இருக்கு. So I've just loved the way I have trained, and it was not only that, it was also the sabas, and I just love performing in the sabas because I've seen very, very different audiences. So to answer your question, for me, I just give 200% of what I like to the audience, knowing that one can't control your audience, one can't get them in. They come for some reason. So if they like what I like, then you're like done. There's no இவங்களுக்காக இது பண்ணணும், எனக்காக பண்ணணும், and அது அழகா பண்ணணும், அவ்வளவுதான். That's it. So I'm training them with my aesthetics.
That's lovely. That's a beautiful thing to say. Yeah.
Yes.
Krishna?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think that you can work with this presumption of saying I'll doing this for this set of people, doing that for that set of people. I've sung in kind of many crazy locations, not just the typical Sabha location. I've sung on the streets, I've sung in audiences where it's a rock festival, all kinds of audience, right? And in every one of them, you're going to have very different kind of people come in, right? Now, it also means you have an understanding of the art you present, which is diverse enough in your belief system, if you want to call it a belief system, that can communicate in different audiences, right? So, in the sense, I think it's got to do with what kind of intensity and depth you actually understand your art. I think that's the question we should ask. If you know your art meaning not your art, but the art, and see its magnificence in all its diversity, the audience will not matter. Yes, you will sing differently when I'm singing on the street compared to singing in a sabha, compared to singing in a temple, compared to singing in a rock festival, compared to singing anywhere else, right? You will. But it will all be tied together with a certain philosophy of your understanding of the art form.
Okay.
That's what we are asking for, right? We're saying, does this form one body of a philosophical understanding of the art form? And I think that's what I would say, saying I'm singing with that basis. So yes, I may sing faster pieces in X or X space. I may sing not so much something somewhere. It's possible. It's possible. Sometimes you're also intuitively responding to the location. Yes, but it needs to come. It seems a fraud when it is just about catering to something rather than something that's coming part of your vocabulary of the art form.
Okay.
That's the problem I'll have. I'll have a problem with an artist who is being disingenuous. That I will have a problem with. But an artist does have multiple vocabularies, multiple ways of expressing the art, multiple ways of seeing one raga or whatever, right? I think that's got to do with how much you've spent in that art form. So that's what matters. I think the audience will come or may not come. That's also possible. That's also may not come. But you need to have something that you have honed in this kind of a.
So when you say an artist is catering to the audience, do you see anybody who has actually been super successful doing that?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Give a very quick answer.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think you should.
Yeah, I
elaborate
think
on
that I think that's also possible. What I'm saying is that's a possibility. Now, it doesn't mean they're not skillful.
No, I never said that.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just responding. I'm saying that there is a certain set of skill sets that you can develop that will tick boxes of a certain period of time in a certain audience. I will give you an example. Instagram is full of it. Classic case, Instagram is full, whether it's music, dance or whatever. It's full of people who can take a certain framework form. And it will be successful for at least till the point that Instagram is doing well, right? So there is a model that is available like that.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing, and I'm not blaming it on Instagram. This model has always existed, is my point.
Right.
You always had artists, whether it's 100 years ago or 50 years ago, who have honed a way of titillating in a manner that really works. So it works, that's it.
Just to clarify, and Jayashree, I want you to answer next. I'm not talking about purist, non-purist, not that at all. I'm just...
You can't. There's nothing like that.
So I'm just talking about whether, when the performance comes from a space where you're saying, I'm the audience, versus this particular audience and I'm going to do something to dazzle that audience, right? And dazzle in a very organic way. Yeah.
So as an artist, one does what one can to one's fullest ability. And we make choices depending on where we are singing, what the occasion is. Sometimes, of course, sing something that you comes from an understanding, okay, they're going to like this. They may like something new. But I also feel that largely acceptance from the audience, in my case for sure, has steered the way my music has developed over the years.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I have given what I know to my best ability. But the way they have accepted me, not because they came and told me, each one of them, but there's a certain vibration you can feel when you perform. And that steers your way, your artistic choices, what you sing, when you sing, how you sing.
Can I disagree with her?
It gives you all the.
Can I disagree with her?
Sure.
I understand where she's coming from.
But
what she
just
says.
1 second. Do you have something? Okay, right. Okay.
I get where she's coming from, but I'm going to flip it on its head. And I'm going to say that you actually create, I'm using this word loosely, you created, I get what you're saying is that you presented what you know and what you believe in all honesty, and it's the acceptance. I'm going to say no, it's what you believed in the honesty and the aesthetic oeuvre that you created, that it was you who passed on that environment to the audience. And through a period of time, you cultivated an audience to listen to this kind of music. And I'm going to put actually the onus on you for what you did, though I get where you're coming from. Because it requires a lot of courage to do that. And it's not like Jayashree, if they had not accepted, you were not going to change tomorrow morning. You still believed in that music, right? Would you have changed? If I ask you this question, if, say, the audience had not accepted, would Jayashree be singing differently?
I don't know. I take your point, but I really don't know.
I think she wouldn't have. That is the point I'm making.
I get that feeling too. But yeah, but I deepest respect for saying I don't know, because that's such a like a very Jayashree answer. I would not expect you to say anything else, because it's a hypothetical thing, and one doesn't really know until you put yourself in that situation what you would do.
But I think that's something we underestimate in an artist, which is what I wanted to actually bring out in this. It's not just about Jayashree. Is that an artist is actually is so vulnerable.
Yes.
It's such a chance. And I'm not saying you're consciously saying, I'm taking a chance today. No. And you believe strongly in, say, a certain kind of movement or music. It could be anything. And you're putting it out there. In a way, you're just laying it out
You're
there.
vulnerable.
Absolutely vulnerable. Anything can happen at that moment. And to do it again and again and again, and then get to a point where you know that you've created an environment in which you can function, is tremendous courage. It's tremendous courage.
And work.
Yeah.
And sweat and,
Absolutely.
sadagam.
And whether it is music, dance, or theatre or cinema,
You're just laying it all out there.
Absolutely. You're just putting it out there. And that's why that was what I'm trying to say. It's like, so imagine, like she said, the skill, the honing, but the belief that there is something so valuable. You have to value it.
Right.
You have to treasure it and say, this is so valuable. And it's like you're presenting what you value so much again and again. And it could be somebody says, this is not valuable at all, boss, chuck it. And that is something, isn't it?
So அதேதான் நீங்க கேட்டிங்களே அந்த ஆடியன்ஸ்க்காக பண்றீங்கன்னா இல்ல we understand, we just do what we know, and then we are creating an audience for yourselves.
Yeah, I think at the stage at which I am right now,
இந்த ஹியூமிலிட்டிலாம் ரொம்ப அதிகமா
Humility.
இருக்கு.
Seriously, you're one of the most popular singers right now.
I'm talking about that is because experience teaches you a lot of things, and I have a
It
certain.
gives us the luxury to talk this way also.
So I think
அடிப்பட்டு எல்லாம் சொல்லுவாங்க.
things that really hit us hard when we are trying to make a name for ourselves, etc. is with up and coming generations. The biggest problem is that there are several generations of artists who have created a large scape of work that's there, and they've all been successful, each one doing whatever they did. So there are templates that get created because of that, and all of us, from the way we are taught versus from the way we listen, everything kind of assimilates in our mind in a certain way. And the biggest challenge is to still find your space that makes you sound unique amidst all this that's there, right? So that's the biggest challenge that we are faced with today. And people who have really broken that and done what they believed in are the ones who have really made it big. That is also there. There have never been repeats of the same template that have also made it big. Very rarely. So the challenge is the audiences are used to listening to so many musicians. There's a certain nostalgia associated with it. You can't not recreate that. At the same time, you need to sound authentically yourself.
And
where
you
do you
did.
draw the balance?
And you did. So
Sure,
imagine
look, I'm
the-
still
what
doing
a
it, still
work
figuring
that,
it
that
out. So,
you've
but the
done.
balance is where
You know?
we need to be conscious of doing some tried and tested things, trying some new things that we want to try, and keep the balance going. At least at the stage where I am right now, I think that's the figuring out part that I'm working on.
Right. I'll come to Praveen. I want to just elaborate on that. You to elaborate on that. So you obviously listen to this big soundscape of things that's out there, right? Created by earlier generations. That's all that you've listened to. In your opinion, or what have you tried to do in order to say that this is who Ashwath is, and if you come to an Ashwath concert, this is what you'll find? What have you tried to? I mean, I'm sure there are many things, and you can't just label one, but amongst them, like if you could name a couple of things.
So I'll start with a Kriti rendition in general. Like there are these Kritis that are associated with musicians. Kritis, when you start that Kriti, the audience are actually going to think of some other musician. So how do you bring them back into your fold is one of the common challenges one faces. So I try to kind of keep the Padantram the same, but also bring in some elements of myself where I add some Sangatis, etc., which are just mine in the aesthetic that I kind of believe in, and try to present it. And it has worked in some cases, not worked as well, but that's something I consciously work on.
Can you give me an example? Sing.
For example, Baro Krishnaya
Mm-hmm.
is a composition that has been sung by so many musicians over time, right? So I first of all brought the speed down by a bit just to give it some space, and then that gives you the space to kind of add sangatis, explore, etc. So that's one composition. For example, Baro ninamuga toro nina sariyaro jagadhara shilane Baro ninamuga toro nina sariyaro Jagadhara Shilane Baro Krishnaya. So bring it a little slower, that gives you the space to explore things. Just an example, like off the top of my head.
Right. Thank you. That was lovely. And Praveen, so what have...
So I think in films you work in private and then you present it, so you're not being watched when you're creating. But when it comes to music performance, I think
live.
you're literally being watched when you're creating your craft. So I think that's the difference. So I feel creating an original song is like making a film. You just create your song and you put it out there. But when it comes to a Carnatic music performance, which has so much of nostalgia and greatest of artists practicing that, I think your practice room is where you create an aesthetic palette. This is the music, this is the sound I like, and there you really have to be true to yourself. But when you go on stage, you kind of tweak that aesthetic palette a little bit, like what everyone said. That is bound to happen. You are going to respond to the room's energy. If there's a quiet moment, you react to that silence or that applause, and it is playing in your psyche for sure. So I think it's a combination of being really true in your practice room or listening or consuming music, and then tweaking it a little bit when you go on stage is what at least in my head makes sense.
So how do you prepare for a concert, whether it is like a Carnatic concert or whether it is something that you're doing on your own outside?
So I think what I do is to hone my craft and be ready for few scenarios, because Carnatic music is also so improvisational that you don't know what you're going to do. We do have templates. It's not that it's completely out there. We do have templates. We do have songs and talams and ragams and whatever it is. But there are moments where there's a challenge that is being thrown at you. At that point, you just want to make sure that you're prepared. So in the practice room, there's an aesthetic palette that you're trying to create and trying to form your own, like how you asked Ashwath. So who am I is the question that you ask at home, and I think it should not be on stage. And then when you go on stage, you kind of say, this is maybe who I am, and then you just explore a little bit, and then they kind of guide you into an artist, is what I feel.
So during, let's say you have a bunch of concerts all lined up together, right? You're the accompanist. You don't have the time to synergize with each person that's going to be singing. Now he comes there and you don't know him, let's say, and then he says, okay, Baru Krishna, he starts, and you think this is the tempo that it's going to go in, but then he presents it his way. So what happens then? Is like an instant, like a response to that?
Yeah, usually we don't like perform with artists whom we don't know. So usually there's some amount of personal.
Oh, is that
interaction.
right? Okay.
Yeah, right now at least I can say that I perform with artists whom I have some connection with. Maybe in my earlier days, I literally performed with everyone. There's no luxury of knowing the artist or knowing the songs. I did play in that era of not knowing the concert set list. Right now, it's usually discussed and whatever it is. So I know Ashwath's music. I know what he stands for. Or if it's another colleague, I know what kind of music, because we also listen to music together.
Yeah.
We react to music together. So there are moments that we like and we recreate those moments even if you're not talking about it. Oh, let's just recreate that moment on stage, happens on stage. And I think that's the power of music, where you don't have to discuss scripts and like talk and, okay, let's do this high point here, low point here. We've never discussed that. But it kind of happens. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that's the beauty of music, where you invest in that artist a little bit and that aesthetic palette, and you react to that based on the skill set that you have. And what I try to do is to keep working on that skill set, because you have to practice every day. There's no other, you just have to keep in touch.
How about you, Shobana? How do you prepare
For a performance.
for a performance?
Say it's solo.
I read a lot.
Wow.
I read all of those, not one of the padams. I just try to get the authors of all of those padams, and I read the mind. That's what I do. And that's how I kind of am prepared, because after an age, you don't really physically dance and rehearse. You need to slow it down and save the body. It's not like when you were 24 to about 45. So after a point, I have to save my energies, and I read before a concert instead of physically going out and rehearsing.
That's lovely.
I love a blank slate, completely blank slate. Huh?
That's it.
Yeah, completely blank slate. So, I just do very mundane things. Usually, if I have a concert that day, right? I just say as blank. Of course, ideas may come. If they come, I accept them. Otherwise, I just go blank. So most of the times I get on and I'm absolutely blank when I'm sitting on stage.
See, you save your brain.
And I don't know what's going on, and I take the decision there. And sometimes you'll find me asking colleague, Ida, enna pannalam? So, and I like to just, the concert to just develop from that. And one leads to another, one leads to another, one leads to another. That's just I think a lot of this also personality of the individual to a large extent. So, this doesn't mean a person who plans is in any way being more over prepared. No,
Yeah.
it's just a personality thing.
Right.
And for me as a personality, I just like to not know, which allows me the space, I feel, to notice things in the music as they happen, and then use intuition and further respond to it. And that kind of then becomes its own self.
Right.
And then you can move from one raga to another. You can kind of flip. It's almost like one of these mystical movies where you can just be on different journeys, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
No, I'm going to ask you this, Shobana. It's always intrigued me when a dance performance takes place, because you are dancing. There are people performing, like as in the song is being performed. There's a rhythm and all. So you rehearse earlier, saying that these are the songs and this is what you're going. Because I don't think you can, go out there and say I'm going to improvise.
Why?
Has that happened?
Always.
Okay.
If the musician, the vocalist decides to, then we can.
Okay, so that
It's all
means
the
you
same.
have a long-standing relationship with the vocalist, so that you suddenly you feel like doing something, they know what to provide you.
Not necessary.
Okay.
They just have to sing and I have to perform. No,
Okay.
that's what it is. Extempore can be done.
Can be done.
Yeah, and I
course,
think they do
they-
respond to her. I mean, in
Right.
a sense, if you're staying in the same line,
Yeah.
they're going to stick to the lines.
But then sometimes maybe it's not needed for that particular day,
Okay.
that particular pieces. But extempore is always done, even
Right,
in dance.
right,
It's done a
right.
lot actually.
Okay. Okay. Except for maybe the dance dramas that you do, maybe those are a little more tighter.
Because it's recorded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Extempore is not, Manodharmam is not an issue.
not an issue. Okay.
I like to sing all day, on days of performances as well. And then switch off for a bit. And when I sit on the stage and before the curtain opens, I feel like I'm an empty float. And then the music just flows. But I'm warmed up enough for it to flow.
Right.
But I like to be in that warmed up state whole day.
So let's say that this evening you have a concert. That means this morning you started singing and kept on singing
Yeah, I can-
something or the other.
I'd be happy singing for 4 or 5 hours.
Okay. Because there are some artists who want to conserve their voice, which that's not an issue with you. That's
If you do it the right way and know the technique, then you don't harm your voice.
okay. Nice, lovely.
Again, same switch on, switch off problem. I love morning concerts. I think I am at my best when it's just wake up, get ready, go for the
What
concert.
is your definition of morning, though?
Well,
Good question. Very good question.
Anytime between 6 and 12 is
Okay.
fine. Morning,
Yeah.
basically. Because through the day, otherwise too many things happen and then my mind is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer morning over evenings. But two things that really help me is if it's an evening concert, take like an hour's nap, wake up, warm up, and then go. That really helps.
Okay.
And in terms of prepping, yes, some concerts require some preparation, especially if you're singing pallavis, etc. It requires. Otherwise, again, same blank slate always is my comfort zone. But sometimes there is a mix of both prepped and non-prepped. With time, the prepped stuff have come down.
Would you say that the more you've sung, the more experience you have singing, the less preparation time you need?
I don't think you can generalize that.
Okay.
I think it's
So
very.
I'm asking you.
For me, yeah, I guess so. That yeah, it also works the other way, right? Because as you grow older, your voice is also just a bunch of muscles. You forget that. So as you grow older, your voice is getting fatigued. It's like being a runner or a dancer. You use different set of muscles. Here, voice is actually a bunch of muscles, and you use it for about 30, 40 years, and it shows up. So sometimes you require a different kind of a prep, which is a physical prep, So, for example, I think morning concerts, for example, as you grow older, you definitely need a prep, right? There was a time, where I wouldn't care whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning or midnight. I'll just go sing. But now if I'm going to be singing a 9 o'clock concert, I know my voice needs 15, 20 minutes of warm-up because it takes that much more time for it to just settle.
Okay.
So as far as the apparatus is concerned, I think it works the other way. You need, as you grow older, you need to be caring, and you also realize it needs a little warm-up. That it's like actually physical exercise. When you're younger, you can go and run a 10K and come. As you grow older, you need to do a warm-up before that. It's pretty much the same. Intellectually and emotionally, of course, you're on the other or you're different curve. And that doesn't require it. And then that's a different kind of a mind. So it's a kind of both things are happening parallelly.
Right. So I'm going to take you back to the time we went to Jaffna.
Yeah.
Was it a Swanubhava?
No. I was first musician 37 years then when
Yeah.
I traveled.
Yeah.
Before that was before Swanubhava.
Okay, so what was the thing that we were there with Unikrishnan and all that?
That was Swanubhava. That was a
was-
year later.
Yeah.
Year or two later.
Yeah.
11 or 12, I think. Yeah.
So I remember one thing that happened there, and it's a kind of, I don't know whether to call it amusing or not, but Unikrishnan started singing, and he sang a regular kind of thing, and then suddenly somebody said, "Can you sing Ennavali?"
Lovely.
That was that was his song, and he was in a genuine dilemma because it's a concert stage, and they're saying sing a film song, but they're also audience that's come for him. Do I do this or don't I do this? So he actually looked at Krishna and says, "Is it okay?" And Krishna kind of said, okay,
I
whatever.
should sing.
I should
I should sing,
So
yeah.
and then he sang that. So my question here is, if a song adheres to a ragam, let's go back in time, let's say M.K. Tyagaraja Bhagadar, that time or whatever
Oh,
it is.
Sindhane Sei Maname kuda
Yeah,
sollum.
yeah, whatever, like whatever it is, Mahadev Ponmailal, there are many songs, but I'm just saying, like, okay, let's go back to a time where film songs were Carnatic music and Carnatic music were. So the thing is, do you think it's okay? What is your opinion? Would you sing a song that appeared in a film on a Carnatic stage?
I think there are many songs that are being sung.
The
today
question
which are
was
from the
whether
films,
you will
first of
sing.
all.
கேள்விக்கு பதில்.
I will answer the
பெரிய
question, but I want
பெரிய
to know
பதில்
what is
say, எல்லாரும்
what-
பண்றாங்க.
what is-
அதான் நான்
no,
பண்றேன்.
what is
no,
this
no,
bullying that's
அதாவது,
happening?
கேட்டுக்க, அவனை கேட்டேன். அவன் என்ன, there are already
Yes.
so- அதான்,
Yes,
அதான்
answer is
கேட்டேன்.
yes.
Okay.
And many, no, the reason I brought it up was because we already do that today.
Right.
Many of us do
We've
that.
done it even then. We've done it then
So
too.
it's been happening. And
So where
as
would you
long
draw
as
the
it's-
line?
Okay, which film song will you not sing?
Yeah.
Is that a fair
Okay,
question?
yeah.
The songs that are where the main melody by itself can sync well with a violin mardangam accompaniment and not sound too off from the other ragas that
Logical.
you've generally presented. If you're able to gel it well, I think there is no problem. But the songs that are dependent on a certain arrangement and that is what is going to create the effect of that song, then I think it doesn't work.
Right.
நான் ஆன்சர் பண்ணட்டுமா அந்த
I
கொஸ்டினை?
would, sure.
ஏன்னா நிறைய சாரி
No,
I got you off.
That's how I would approach it.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always had this question thrown at me. I used to do 3-hour concerts every time. Margam adliye vandu Ramayanam la panni, very happy that I could still dance at my age for so long. And then there would be one man who comes and says, Chechi, Madisatra Chechi. So I'm like, that's what disappoints me. But அது ஏன் பண்ண முடியாதுன்னா it's a different reason. Because these film songs also, they come with a script. And they have so much of like a backing with editing and lighting and stuff. Now, how can you recreate
That's a fair point.
the same thing on a stage? It's
That's
just
true.
you just trying to do something because some
Yeah.
guy just wants to see that. Pannadella po. So even now, after many concerts, I said, Chethi, Manichitra, adilla, le, oru mere. I said, la, idakku madi. So the problem is this, film song பண்றதுல ப்ராப்ளமே கிடையாது. ஃபிலிம் பண்ணா, for me at least, அது ஃபிலிம் பண்ண முடிஞ்சுன்னா சாங்கும் பண்ணலாம். பட் அது பண்ணா it's not respectful to the original.
That's a very important point.
இல்ல,
Because
that's the point.
because
I've
great
been saying it for
there is a respectful place it has in
Yeah.
its creation.
Yeah.
We have discussed this actually, remember? This exact point for music too, right? That as a film song, it has an entire body of work,
Correct.
which is also part of a narrative. Let's not forget that. It's not a song that is just outside. So, Manichitra, the entire movie is part of that song, and the song is the movie. It's one of those
Song is the
things,
movie,
right?
yeah.
So, when you take it out, the question you're asking is the other question. What are you doing to that art object?
Yeah.
Terrible.
We never asked that question, right? We should be asking that
Shredding
question.
it on stage.
We think that we have the right to do it. So, in fact, we should ask, is it respectful to do it? Is a very important question to
இதெல்லாம்
ask.
அவள்கிட்ட சொன்னா they don't understand, பாவம்.
I think
என்னாலும் சேச்சி.
I think amongst the three of us, at least, Jayashi Akka has the most experience in singing, being a playback singer as well. So I'm sure, Akka, you would have had these situations where Kacherik Nadula, they ask you to sing.
Very rarely. And I've always said, with the violin and mridangam, it's not possible to sing, and then we quietly go away.
That's the.
Yeah.
But the
Jayashree
song.
can quietly send people away.
Yeah. That quiet power that you have. But she has actually spoken about when you've sung film songs. Has there been a way that has kind of recalibrated your perception of the other art, or do you just keep them in two separate boxes?
When I render, they are separate, but each has helped the other tremendously.
I'd like to hear about that.
Singing a film song is going to the studio, writing down the lyrics fresh, learning the music there, learning the composition, and then breathing life into it. So you're creating something then and there, of course, with the guidance of the music director, the inputs of the lyricist, and sometimes the director and producer of the film and all of that. But it's you're beginning to create something that's never there before. And then there is
That's a beautiful way to put it, yeah.
and then there is huge learning when you are inspired by other creative minds. Why this word has to be enunciated in this way? Why I can't sing this note this way? So you take all those inputs and you try to fit yourself in that narrative, right? But it's you are creating something. And then this huge learning on how to use the mic from every great composer that I've sung for, how to use, how your breath should not be heard, how to sing in the higher octaves, how to breathe, feeling into the song, all of that. Now in Carnatic music, you're singing a composition that has been created hundreds of years ago and rendered multiple times by the greatest of musicians. So you're trying to find your voice in it. So it's completely different. And yet, sometimes you feel, oh, yeah, I've done something to this. There's a touch that I'm able to manage to create in this. You end up feeling that with years of practice and delivering that song. So they're different scenarios, but they do help. This training helps. Film, learning from the film and the various people helps. They feed off each other very beautifully.
Right. Has anyone else had that experience? You, of course, yes, but anyone else?
I also agree with her. I think in terms of skill and craft, it is different. You train your muscles and your brain differently for, say, playing for a film song or playing in a festival or playing a Carnatic concert. But I think it definitely feeds some kind of aura into your own personality. And for me, it's been positive. In fact, when you're starting off, there's a lot of doubt, especially when you're starting off and you're doing multiple things. I've had so many people ask me, why are you doing so many things? Why don't you just play concerts? Why are you not serious about playing concerts? Was a question that I was asked. Because I am very serious about my craft, but I'm also interested in other things.
So what is that context? Why did they say, why are you not serious?
Because the moment they see you in different places, there's a particular brand associated with that. Say you sing a film song and then you sing a Carnatic concert. I'm sure everyone has gone through that.
Very versatile, no? Isn't that how people should be thinking?
It should be.
Is it that always? I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
too
always that.
I think, okay, I can talk for myself. Where coming from a traditional setting where you learn the craft in the most traditional setting, the Gurukula system, and you go to the sabhas to listen to the concert, it is not a very cool thing in that environment. It is a cool thing to probably sing a Ragam Tanam Pallavi and to go up the ladder. It's the parallel corporate ladder in the Carnatic world. When you're doing multiple things, you're seen differently. And especially when you're starting off, it's better to do one thing, is what I was also said. But I really enjoyed doing multiple things. That I thought was my calling. And I didn't do because it was cool, because I really was interested in doing multiple things. And it really ended up feeding a lot of energy. Like Akka said, you do meet creators from very different disciplines. You meet dancers, theatre professionals, writers, and they bring in something else to your artistry. They start seeing, like you said, lights or camera or like different artists work together to create something. That collaborative effort is something that you start appreciating. And then you kind of translate that to the concert environment. You start appreciating sound more, stage decor, and all of those things. So for me, it's been such an enriching experience to work with different people. So for me, I just lucked out.
Is that how you decided to, have, painted mridangams and things like that? Is that something that came from an outside thing, or was that an expression of your inner self?
There's one short story, I'll make it really short. So
You don't have to. You can say the whole story. Yeah.
So there's a music video that I made where the protagonist goes to a trance. And whatever happens there is kind of in the dream world. And the protagonist plays the mridangam in the dream world. And the mridangam shouldn't be a typical mridangam because it's not reality.
Right.
That's why that mridangam was painted. but I really liked it. So I decided to paint all my. I didn't paint it. It's painted by my friend Susha, who's also a phenomenal artist. Then I decided there are some unsung heroes in my artistic journey, like my mridangam maker. His name is not read out in my bio. So I thought people who play a very important role in my life, I decided to name my mridangams, with their names. So my mother, my father, my mridangam maker, and audio engineer, and people like that. So for me, it's much more personal. The instrument has a story, it has a name. Instead of saying, because we do end up collecting mridangams. I have about 20 mridangams. And now I don't say mridangam 1 or mridangam 2. Each one has a name and character. So that's the story.
That's lovely. You have a name like an
I have a
action.
name for all my mridangams now. So when I send it for changing heads or whatever it is, I can say, please change Lawrence mridangam right head or whatever it is. So,
Lawrence Thalaya Matte.
but yeah,
That sounds better, actually. This other question, many of the performance pieces that are done on stage in dance, music, they're religious, they're about gods. Do you feel it is necessary to be spiritual / religious when you perform these pieces to kind of do full justice to them? Do you want to start?
I think singers should probably.
Okay.
Jayashree.
For me, the music is the religion. The spirituality is in the music. And it's in the swaram itself, it's in the ragam itself. So I don't find myself wanting to look beyond that.
Okay.
We have spoken about
We have spoken about it. Yeah.
When I sing Krishnani Begane, I'm thinking about Yamuna Kalyani. Nothing else.
This is the exact thing that you said then. Yeah. Because the context being that, was it in Melbourne that you performed this?
Yes.
She sang this, and after that, apparently, she said that there was a listener who was very
I've seen
moved.
that interview, yeah.
No, it was a written thing, actually, long back.
Yeah.
So,
An audience member who said that, like me, you must be a Krishna devotee. I didn't say much to her, but I knew that that was not what it was. For me, it was in the swaram, it was in the Yamuna Kalyani. The composition, the structure of the composition, the sangatis, which I go back to every time I render it.
Right.
I think an appreciation of the raga and an appreciation of the poetry. That's the beauty of the lyrics. And someone has felt some way about that topic, and how beautifully have they woven the raga with that lyric, I think, is the most important thing. And how we express it, and if we are able to appreciate it, I think the listener can feel any way about it, but our only duty is to give that experience of highlighting the beauty in the whole thing. I think that's how I see it.
Right. What do you think about
Anything else is like yes or no, I don't think matters. If it's there, great.
What do you think about this generalization? And I use the word generalization because it is a generalization that that Hindustani music is about Shringara and Carnatic music is about Bhakti.
Question was to you.
I didn't. This is the first time I'm actually.
No, that
hearing
maybe it was
about-
said. Khayal is mainly romantic poetry.
This is
versus
very commonly said, right? It's
Carnatic
like,
music lyrics it's been said for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you want me to say? Whether it's true or not?
What do you
this is
think
the first
about it? Your opinion?
Okay, I'll talk about the second one. I can't talk about Hindustani music specifically, but Carnatic.
I'm not trying to
music
put you on a
and
spot. I'm
Bhakti-
just genuinely.
Put him on
like,
the spot. No, why are you so worried?
He sounds not confident.
No, not at
Yeah.
all, not at all. So Carnatic music being
Praveen's
about.
enjoying himself.
No, I think it is. The statement is correct because that's at least the compositions are that way. I think it's each musician's choice as to how they define bhakti and what they see in it, and then present it in their own way. I think the form gives space for that.
Right. Krishna?
I thought I've spoken more than enough about this subject for so many years now. I mean, let's just, if I was going to flip it a bit, and suppose I say you don't know us, hypothetically. You're just hearing our voices. by listening to the music, would you be able to tell whether that person believes in that God, whether that person has a certain faith, or whether person belongs to a certain place? You're not going to be able to say it. You're going to respond emotionally to that which you're receiving. So the question is actually that. The question is that investment of personhood, if I can use that word, in the deepest sense of the word, is there at every moment art is created, right? I think that's what moves. Now, I'm actually not interested in personal choices of individuals, and I think everybody has their own personal choices, right? But I think this is what it is. So, what is that body of work, whether it's a Tyagaraja Kirtana, whether it is your dancing a Padam or whatever, is that entire thing coming alive as a form of great beauty, is all I think that matters.
Aesthetics is
You want to call that bhakti, call it bhakti. You want to call it spiritual, please call it spiritual. You use whatever word you want to use for it.
But I think those words do carry a very particular
they have
connotation.
a lot of baggage, which is why I'm not using any of those words, because I think they all have, each one understands those words differently. Right? If I use that, I think bhakti is a very serious subject that we should not speak about very lightly.
Can't say yes or no.
It's a very serious subject, and I'm happy to discuss it, but that's a very large subject. So again, at the same time, how people sitting here are going to receive it in their own modes is something of their liberties. That, like Jayashree said, that person saw Krishna. Jayashree can't deny Krishna to that person. That person saw Krishna. But there is that fact that that body of work, art, at that point, was something very profound. I think that's all really matters, which is, I think, it is true of all art. It is not just Carnatic music, or like you said, is it more Shringara? This is more Bhakti. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you read a poem. A poem is a bunch of words. Many times, if you are going to look at it as prose, it makes no sense, right? It actually makes no sense. You read haiku, for example. It's a classic case of a haiku. Anybody who's read a haiku for the first time in their life would not know how to read it. It just seems like 4 words put in some kind of a design.
Right.
But that's what this is, isn't it? That those words then start giving meaning. They can be turned around. You can look at them. You can flip them. And that's what happens every time you sing a kirtana or every time you sing a ragam. And there is this entire instantaneous evolution of form that is happening, right? And in that there is bhakti, in that there is spirituality, in that there is, for some people, maybe none of it, maybe just a mechanics of music. It is possible. For somebody, it could be, is that line correct? It is possible. I mean, you just allow it all to play.
Everything coexists.
Yeah, I think if the problem happens is when you say, this is it, this is how it should be, or this is not it. And then you're saying, no, it can't be that way. It's like saying you can only make certain kind of films. You can't make certain kind of films. You can't say that.
Right.
Which is why, for me, I can sing on Allah, I can sing on Jesus, I can sing on Rama, I can sing on the chair. I can absolutely sing on anything under the sun. There's bhakti if I sing on a table. There is bhakti. Question is that. So, I think we need the freedom to be able to swim all this.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Shobana?
Did you want to rephrase the question after listening to all of this?
No, I want to know when you perform mythological characters or gods or
Whether I'm religious.
no, how do you process it? What goes on in your mind when you're trying to enact a god?
So I'm a sutradhara. I'm an actor, and I don't think of myself as particularly. I don't think that I need to be religious or an atheist to do my job, right? So if I have the right poetry, and if I can understand what the poet is trying to create and the narrative, it's my only job to take that out in the most beauteous fashion to the audience. That's it. Now, the processes I have can be different. And so, as he said, it can be on any god. There have been so many instances where I've done Mary Magdalene, or I've done, Sufi. All of these music, for me, I just don't look at it as one entity which is not mine. I just look at the music, and my entire job at that point, every core in my body is just trying to make the audience understand the beauty and the pain of the poet,
Right.
because these are all time tested verses also, right? So that is only on my mind. How do I feel when I'm playing Krishna? I'm an actor. Of course I'm going to feel like Krishna or Radha or Ravana. See?
Yeah.
So my process is different as an actor and a dancer.
Yeah. For me, this question is always fascinating because there is so much subjectivity involved in it. There is let's say take a kriti. It's like you said, every kriti has been rendered by so many musicians, yet there are some that you prefer. There may be some others that people say this is the definitive version, or this is the greatest, or something like that, but you gravitate towards something that your artistic sensibilities take you to, and that is not under your control because that is your internal wiring, how you are made and how you process music. So I think that question has always like fascinated me about how that element of subjectivity is there throughout, right? It's like we think so and so is a great singer. Somebody else might say, actually, I don't like their way of singing. So and so is this one, but there are some things that I think are undeniable for me, which is like when some real beauty comes from this art or any art. There's that abstraction of whatever it is, that collection of words and music and maybe dance and this or that or whatever, that just like that immersion that you people experience when you're performing is there for me as well. And sometimes that becomes something very spiritual or whatever you want to call it. That word is not important, but that
Experience.
that experience, that you look for, that where suddenly you don't want to look at your watch, or you don't want to look at your phone, or you don't want to, and that happens because the thing is, it's not that I don't want to, but sometimes when the person is not engaging you, now because we have the phone, we tend to look at it. Whereas when the engagement is total and when your emotion is total, then you're just suspended in that lovely, whatever, like how you described it. So what do you think about music critics, dance critics?
Everybody's smiling.
What do you think of that?
It's a genuine question, yeah.
I mean, well, I think that the quality of art criticism in India sucks.
Okay.
Very simply put, it's terrible to say it mildly. I think that, and it goes back to journalism. I think it goes back to how we train journalists. I don't think there is a robust understanding of art, and in the larger sense, I don't want them to know exactly what is this raga, this janya, or this. That's such a waste of time. I want them to know what does it mean to come to a concert and experience a concert. And I think the journalistic world in India has not done justice, whether it is theatre or cinema or music or dance. I don't think there's enough effort put into creating a culture of art, serious art criticism in India. Exceptions kept aside. I mean, those only prove the norm. So I think that is a problem. And I think nobody is willing to address that problem. So basically, anybody can become a critic. I mean, the December season is now. I'm going to tell you about 20 people come out of the woodwork, literally out of the woodwork, whose names you'd have never heard. They'll disappear on January 1st. They'll again arrive on December 1st. I'm like, who are these people? Where did they come from? We don't know. So I have the greater respect for the idea that there needs to be art critique. I completely think that's important. And I think it's important that that person has that, I think fundamentally a dance, say a Bharatanatyam critic, cannot be just watching Bharatanatyam. How many books have they read? How much cinema have they watched? How much music have they heard? Music in the largest sense of the word. So the whole idea of how does one experience art with this theatre, all that should feed into the way they perceive what an art object is. And I don't think we have this kind of a understanding, unfortunately, in this country. And I'd be happy to be proven wrong consistently. But That's really the state of affairs. I remember many years ago, Mr. Enram and I had an exchange in the Hindu about exactly this topic. When I actually went and I said, it's just terrible. And he's, his argument was just speaking like a cricketer who doesn't like to be criticized. I said, no, but it's really bad. So I think that it needs to be thought about, whether it's Bharatanatyam, whether it is Kathak, whether it is Carnatic music or Khayal or whatever, or film music or all this, right? I think that we need to really think about it. I think of it seriously. You can't just pluck people and say, oh, you're a Rasika, you listen, you watch our dance form, you can be a critic. No. Right? That's what's happening now. So what are the, not qualifications?
Terrible.
Yeah, listen. I mean, what goes into it? Look, we're all serious people on stage, okay?
Exactly.
Come on, we're not some, I'm saying at least respect that seriousness. That's all I'm saying.
So for me, especially coming from the films, I've had a lot of people writing about me initially, not now anymore. So it's not all black and white. There are a few. There's 1 or 2 and now 3. For me, it's either honest critics or dishonest critics. The honest critics are the guys who know nothing, but they're
honest.
They're honest because they ask me on WhatsApp. They say, "Idu enna epdi? Oh, ipdilam padalama, I said ipdilam padalam." So at least I see a future for that person because he wants to learn. And I'm like, okay, so probably the only thing here that we can give is wisdom. You have to be wise, you have to be experienced. So what is it? So then comes the dishonest ones. The honest ones and the dishonest ones, they have one thing in common. That is, they only have their own aesthetics. So here you are, as you said, we've been practicing for 30 years and 40 years, whatever. And then, so it's us and it's our audience, and there is one guy who's got the power of the pen.
Don't look at me.
I was saying, neither of us.
You said so much in Chennai.
He's like staring at him.
So there's one guy who's saying இது இப்படி இல்ல. I said, hi, அது எப்படி இருக்க முடியும்? And so it is interesting to be critiqued by this person. So he has a power of the pen, and also I think a lot of critics want to be there because it's a support system. It's a support system and they feel, brave and powerful, and that you write, oh, ivala patti eludhiyacha. So you get the eyeballs there. So that's like yellow journalism for me. And so I'm saying, எனக்கு இதெல்லாம் வேணும் as a critic. நீங்க சொன்னீங்க ராகம் தெரியணும் அவசியம் இல்லை. ராகம்
தெரியணும் அவசியம் சொல்லல. அதுக்கு ஒரு கூகுள் சர்ச் பண்ணிட்டு இந்த ராகம் அந்த ராகம் அது சொல்லாதங்கிற அவ்வளவுதான் சொல்றேன்.
என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, ஒரு கிரிட்டிக்னு வந்து அவனோட பாலபாடம் என்னன்னா, ஒரு அளவுக்கு நான் டான்ஸ்ல சொல்றேன், ஒரு அளவுக்கு தெரியணும். He needs to know.
No, of course. Nobody's saying no.
He needs to know some mudras. He needs to know when the kid has gone off the talam. At least start from there. Basics. அது வேணும். அது ஒண்ணுத்துக்கும் இல்ல actually. And the other thing is, it's very, very personal. It's just like the rest of social media, So critic analum seri, I think we're just bang in a generation that just likes to be me. And there is no respect for somebody's individual artistry, nothing. So I in fact called an important newspaper and I asked them, I said, is he coming to look at my audience and how they react to me, or look at me and write? Then the editor said, naanga enna panna mudiyum? There's so little people who want to come.
Yeah, that's another thing you often hear, by the way. They're saying like, there's nobody there to write who wants to do art criticism. So that means it's a structural problem too, is what I'm saying.
Problem, and then they need to be sent to school, for heaven's sake, because they come and sit there and they just write. And the other thing is, it's just cut, copy, paste. It's cut, copy, paste from Leelaka or Subru Mama. It's the same thing, the same. So it doesn't even grab your attention. You don't want to see. It's regurgitated stuff like footwork. I mean, it's such a terrible way to put something as fascinating as your, what you do mathematically. You can make poetry with the kind of music that you make, right? And then the problem here, the dangerous thing is the responsibility that the critic has, because you have so many of the younger generation who look up to these reviews, and they kind of change what their gurus have taught them to adhere to this, even or idea, aesthetics. It's also like Instagram la kuda apdidan, because when you're dancing, neenga first sonnadu, there is this horizontal and vertical frame. So nammaloda dance ellame now it's been curtailed to get into their Instagram.
Interesting point.
This is an American company, I think. that's making a lot
It's a
of money.
vertical frame here completely for Instagram.
It's a vertical frame. And how do you actually dance when you know?
Very
so
interesting point.
I'm trying to say, okay, எனக்கு இவ்வளவு experience இருக்கு, but I've never gotten down to actually capturing my movement. So if dance is about movement, then what are you doing? So you've kind of slashed everything down just to be in that frame. ஒரே இடத்துல 1 minute of high, velocity dancing. And the other thing is now you're spreading an aesthetics, a problem, because the audience come and they see this and they see on YouTube, இவங்கெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோவாக பாடுறாங்கல்ல, கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோவாக ஆடுறாங்கல்ல, because you're only used to this 1 minute, things. So this is, critic is a problem, sir.
Barry, I want to know what you think about this question.
Can we finish this and then I'll come to me? Or you want me to?
No, I know, because I really want to know, as a person from the space of that world, what do you feel? What do you feel is there, and what do you think we can do?
So I have been in a newsroom and I've seen this happen. So, for example, and I've said this a bunch of times. Let's say there's a famous physicist visiting town. The person sent to interview this person would be somebody who knows physics, or somebody who knows science, who's been in the field, because there is this fear that this is a subject that is actually deep and intimidating and it needs certain knowledge. Whereas art is seen as something experiential. That is, yes, I do agree with the fact that there is something subjective about how one consumes art, but there's also some rigor in which the art is presented, that framework. But I have seen people, so while this courtesy is extended to, let's say, science, to politics especially, to business, to all these other things, you would not send a rookie reporter to cover, to talk to a top businessman, for instance, But when it comes to art, I've actually seen people saying such and such movie has to be reviewed at the press shows today. Who's free? And somebody raises their hand and they are sent. The logic being that everyone consumes films.
Exactly.
And therefore we all are qualified to talk about cinema. Now, I don't want to get into this who's qualified, who's not qualified. I don't want to get into that. But I do feel that there is a certain rigor that's sometimes missing, simply because there is no all-round consumption of exactly what you said, which is like supposing there's a song in the film and there's a lyric that's wonderful, that becomes a bit of poetry, because film is an amalgamation of all arts.
Right.
As it's not just one art. There's a certain aesthetic frame that is put in. I feel that sometimes that's missing, but what can you do? It's like the system is broken.
I think I'm sure sportspersons also have this complaint, maybe.
But I think with sports people also, sometimes you have people who've played sports writing about it. So there's a certain amount of people who watch enough sport.
Possible.
Like, for instance, if there is and I'm speaking from my point of view because of like films. For instance, let's say there's a director who's trying out a technique that is new, right? Here, but is well established elsewhere, let's say France or something like that. Now, the point is that I feel that the critic needs to be exposed to all that in order to say that this is working. Now, if they've seen only Tamil cinema, then what happens is they're like, what is this? It's like, it's so odd or it's so distracting. Let's say they're trying to break the fourth wall or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
That's, it's a Brechtian technique. Should you know Brecht, or should you just respond from your heart and say, this is not working for me? How much of me can you put into a criticism? Is it all me? Like she says, is it also a question about what they are trying to do, as opposed to just what I like? Is it just about my framework and my, as I said, internal wiring? These are all questions that come up frequently, and we talk about it a lot in classes. But there's a problem because there's no training.
That's precisely the point I'm making.
Where I will say is there is the quality I see is in literary criticism, because there are a lot of schools that teach, there's literature as a course. So when somebody reviews a book, I see very, very good.
Oh, they're very good. I think literature criticism is very good.
Literature reviews in India is very, very good. I see that like a lot. But when it comes to music, movies, dance, like I find that so the fair question. I know that, and I do think it's a structural problem, because it's also so specified and so narrow that people want to know why. And a point that Shobana mentioned cannot be emphasized enough. Now when criticism is tied to how many people are going to watch your video or how many people are going to read, and the meaner you get, the more
The virality is more.
The taglines
the
are
more
also
provocative
Provocative,
the thumbnail, whatever it is, the more provocative kind of a sensational.
sensationalism.
Then you're kind of dependent on that, because that's your job.
Correct.
That they do it like a job.
Yeah, that's true.
And that, for me personally, has taken down this a lot. I'm still okay with the subjectivity aspect of it, because there's a level of, but this targeted meanness for the sake of, it's my job, I just want to
Get the eyeballs
that
going.
can destroy
Yeah.
certain things.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
especially when there's a mob mentality around.
Can create fear, no? Yeah.
Yeah, that it's like,
Fear in the artist.
Yeah, if you just, like
I don't know if it creates fear in the artist. There's a lot of fear in the critical community,
Oh, you
I
say
feel, because
for
it's like,
what?
if everyone is saying that a
This
movie
is
is
okay.
good, no, I'll tell you what it is. If everyone is saying that a piece of work is
Oh,
bad,
then you can't be saying it's good.
and I'm saying that it's good, then this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Will I be seen like that, or will people actually
you
engage
have to be
with
part of the group.
or if, like the vice versa, if everyone's saying it's good and I'm saying it's not working,
How do you become a good critic now? That's the problem.
no, we'll
There's
not
no
talk
school.
about that. So that's like
Oh,
saying
we
how do you
will.
become a good musician?
No,
That's
no,
like
no,
a
no.
very, very
No,
big
there
question.
should be, isn't it? Because that's,
So that there's no
that's the
training for
problem.
that.
the whole point. Training is the
So
big
the
problem.
training is a big.
It's
That's a structural
experience.
problem.
It is the experience of different arts, experience with the same art that you like. It's a passion.
No, but I think that
You
also
have to
needs to be part of a training system. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying that there has to be a process. For example, even experience. How does one listen to something or see something,
You have to
or like
put yourself
or for
through
example,
that
a
if you're
frame.
passionate.
If there is a certain frame, how do I see that frame?
Yeah,
That requires training.
So if, for example, if I'm coming to a concert or one of his shows or one of your shows or one of your shows, now I am directly engaging with the music, right? It's like I'm listening to it. So technically, if I'm not looking at my phone, at least I'm one-on-one with that. But let's say a piece of music comes out and I'm driving, or I'm doing my laundry, or I'm washing dishes or something like that. It's playing in the background. I'm not doing justice to that music.
Yeah.
And yet I will go on Twitter and say, hey, this song sucks, or hey, this is not up to their mark, or something like
Pot
that.
shots at the artist.
So that I feel that is not right. Because did you listen to it? Because sometimes one listen is not enough. Sometimes you have to, one listen gives you a general idea of the landscape of a song, whereas you have to go, I'm not necessarily talking about film songs. There are even Carnatic songs that I've had to listen to
Multiple
a few
times.
times in order to truly get into them. I've not liked them the first hearing. But then, are people doing that? It's like a thing. See, again, I don't want to get into who's good, bad,
No, I
bad,
think
bad, or whatever.
that's a different thing
That's a different thing
altogether,
altogether. So, but Jesh, about critics.
So initial years it would hurt, because sometimes you can't find the reason why they said what they said, or appreciate the way they said it either. Then over the years you get used to it, and then you learn to ignore it.
Okay.
Sometimes the criticism has been very useful. It may have hurt me, but it has been useful. So it's a combination of.
But do you agree with the fact that when it comes to your field, there aren't enough people qualified
Absolutely.
enough? Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's what you see there is not really a reflection of what you want to put out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that be
There's-
That's a good way to put
There's
it.
neither knowledge nor empathy.
Exactly.
Empathy is a great
That's
word.
the-
That's-
neither knowledge nor empathy. It's only about the self wanting to be there at that spot.
I'd like to add a new dimension to this. Apart from the print media, blogs, etc., there is this armchair critiquing that happens over social media through stories, through posts, etc. That has really diluted this space, is what I would
Even your art?
Huh?
Even
Oh,
your
yeah,
art?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Very much. Very
Okay.
much.
I mean, as in-
Also,
More.
yes.
We
Carnatic
grew up
music,
with-
100%.
Yeah, we grew up with this medium also.
Exactly.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
We are
So
the Instagram.
it's
Yeah.
kind of
They are
numbed
Instagram.
us to a point where there's too much spoken about one small thing, first of all. So we don't know which one to take seriously. Sometimes things get missed out. Sometimes, all these things are also there that are recent trends in the whole critiquing world, and there are perceptions.
What
that
is the
are,
recent trend, for example?
Can I ask you another thing? before
Yes,
that?
of course.
So why would you even like take it seriously, or
No,
why
if
would you
there
do
are
that?
some there is some criticism that is probably useful for us, gets missed out in the lot.
I can answer that.
I
In terms
think-
of even your social media presence, you start selling out your shows on social media. You end up saying, buy my tickets and come.
course.
And those are the same audience who's watching what you're sharing. So
Yes.
it's not as detached as even like art critiques writing in print media, which is not a direct translation. Here it's unfortunately.
He's saying professional impact is possible, is what he's saying.
If I don't want to sell tickets, if I'm not talking to the audience directly, I don't need a social media presence.
Are you sure it's the same guys that actually buy the tickets for your shows?
No,
Who-
I'm
who
just saying
kind
it will
of
influence
takes
the
this-
people who.
Great question.
I think anybody who loves you is going to come, and they're not going to say all of these things.
Unfortunately, the world is also moving digitally. It's not just a physical space that's evolving. So I'm not saying if you have 100,000 followers, they're going to come to your performance. But it,
That I know.
yeah, I
What
just,
she's asking
Why
is,
would you take it? So
if I can just paraphrase
seriously?
you, what she's saying is like, say X writes something about you or Y, and it's the same platform, right? Instagram. And he's saying, is that individual opinion going to affect, say, ticket sales or not come to your concert? Does it have an impact? Is our question.
Come
thing
back
is-
a full circle.
the thing is, it's not as simple and transactional like how he's
As that,
speaking.
yeah.
Someone else is watching that person. If that person said, I went to this show and I had this surreal experience, then the other person is thinking, I want to have that experience. And both are consumers, they're not critics.
So they're not actually reviews in the traditional
They're not
sense. No,
reviews,
there's comments basically,
but
right?
unfortunately, it's become a very
Become
important.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Like people want experiences. And when a normal person says it's a brilliant experience, then you relate to the normal person more than even a critique. So it's more like my guy is talking and I want to like kind of resonate with that. So
Interesting.
it's complicated. It's
It
not.
is, it
it's
is.
like 5 years back, I would have said you don't need Instagram. Now I can't say that
Yeah.
because I mean, like I'm saying buy tickets and come for the show, and the same audience, and they do matter. I think.
Their reviews matter. I mean, because they bought tickets and coming for your show, that you have to give.
So they are the ones who are throwing comments, no? They are
But
the.
what kind of comments?
No, could
Is
be
that- there's a
negative, no?
decorum not doing it.
Illa,
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
okay,
okay.
That has to be.
Yeah, that is there, and I don't have control over that.
I don't think it's even the same periphery. Is what my 2 pence is.
No, I think what the difference is, if I may, when someone writes a review in a newspaper or a magazine, there is still a certain
Gravitas?
Reverence associated with it. Yeah.
don't do this. There is still a certain like form, you know, like if they say that they want to criticize you, there is still a certain way, like a certain etiquette. Like but whereas on social media, that's not there. They can just simply say this suck,
Correct.
you know, like that's all. It's like that simple as that. They do not, and that actually. Even though this is also going to hurt, that's going to the language is bad as well.
I'm sure they're also talking about the psychological impact of that, right?
No,
Are you talking about that
whether
also?
we feel hurt about it or not is actually secondary. The fact is that it has an influence on your career. I think
Exactly.
that is
Oh,
the
that you
important
really?
thing.
That's what she's asking. Does
Yeah.
she?
It
Does
does at some
That's
level
what I'm
because
asking.
this word of mouth, forwards, comments, etc., have
my God.
become an important part of how you're perceived in the whole virtual digital world. That is also something that's seen in the way.
Go
What
ahead.
do you think about people coming and shooting your concerts, which is not meant to be shot, and then just pushing it out, and that getting you like negative things? It's not meant to be shot. The vocal quality, nothing is meant to be done, right? So how does that impact you, or are you okay with it? Saying it's more publicity.
Not okay. I think you rightly said it.
Yeah.
The device with which it's recorded, the general sound system that day, lighting, blah blah, none of those things are in our control, and then it gets released. So obviously not for it, but I don't think we can control it also. How much
You
can
can't control it.
we? Very difficult.
It's becoming harder and harder to
But
do
I
it.
don't think it's
much harder.
completely negative when it comes to an art form like Carnatic music. I don't see like negative comments and like what happens with mainstream media doesn't happen with Carnatic music. It's mostly people saying a lot of good things and then that kind of translating.
No, I
to-
think there's negativity also. I mean, I don't.
No,
I-
I'm just saying
It's dilution.
yeah, it's just dilution. And the difference between the three of them and us is we are building our careers in this digital age. And they just built everything before even Instagram existed. So their audience is loyal and they're going to show up anyway. So we are trying to build something with the physical world and the digital world, trying to navigate and all of that. So it's not as simple.
Actually, that's a great point because, when I said that people use provocative thumbnails for film criticism and all that kind of stuff, they are trying to stand out in this time. They're building their careers. Whereas someone like me, I came I started in 2003 or something. It was just like way before even Twitter or whatever, like X or whatever it happened. So the thing is, so that there's a certain following that you build, and it may be a niche following, but they follow you, kind of
consistency.
There's a consistency. So whereas today, the people have to fight against a lot more, and maybe all these things like provocative thumbnails or other things that push them forward, or that's their way of making their mark. Now, I'm not talking about the rightness or wrongness.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think even in art, like Shobana spoke about the frame, right? I think we have the same problem. If you look at it extended, right? For example, everybody doing 30-second reels, for example, right? That's now the basis of giving people opportunities. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
People get opportunities like mainstream music or dance opportunities based on reels. And that is so bizarre at so many levels.
It's all failed also.
Yeah, it is. But I'm saying, for example, in this era, people came to concerts. Organizers had somebody, or I'm not saying we should go, but I'm saying this whole effort of saying, what does it mean to invest your time in a young artist who is just singing? Come and listen to an hour or watch an hour, and then you form your own opinion. Whatever that is, a given opportunity. No, but I'm saying, and we forget that the virtual space is not some clean space where the algorithm is not doing its work, where you can buy followers, you can buy likes. It's a very complicated marketplace. But if that is going to determine, say, the future, at least for a limited period of time, of a young artist, if you're going to dissuade a young artist, it's a serious problem. And how we are not looking at this is baffling, actually, in many ways. Young people, I'm mainly speaking of people who are just, trying to find their way.
Right.
Yeah, it also brings
most
a question,
effective.
where does a musician or any artist also need to be good at this to make a career in this?
That's
There have been so many cases where the reel is great, but ask that person to sing for 1 hour, they can't sing.
It's the same thing in dance.
Yeah, exactly.
2.5 hours, first of all, that's what you're looking at. But if you're looking at a different kind of a genre of art, then you can even have art for 10 minutes. Recently, somebody said, we want you to come and do a corporate event. I said, okay, fine. For how long? They said, 10 minutes. I said, I can't. Then they said, ma'am, we'll give you a lot of money to just put it, but can you please come and do it? It's for a high-flying car company. And you have to have a theme around it. So another question, if I may ask them, what do you think about these thematic concepts? It's really annoying. I mean, So what do you think of thematic concerts? Is that people pressurize you and just somebody said, just a title put up for. I said, title put to
title
Give me an example of a theme, like
Vishnu and Mahamaya.
That's the simplest thing you could come up with, I guess.
So I said, ma'am, a theme வேணும். I said, theme பண்ணா ஒரு எக்ஸைட்டிங்கே கிடையாது. You have to stick to something, yeah. Yes, another dance வந்து இன்னும் கஷ்டம். So, what do you think of this thematic presentation?
She's looking at you.
She wasn't, but sure, I'll answer.
I
think once in a while I like to do these thematics because it makes you think differently, right? There is a certain idea, you're trying to put a program around it, connect it, do a storyline. Most of the times our concerts don't have a storyline, as is, right? It's a very abstract idea. So once in a while I think it's nice to do that, but I also see what she's trying to say.
எல்லாமே கதம்பம் மாதிரி. The success of a Bharatanatyam concert is it's a different kind of music.
Of course. Same here as well.
So அதுலயே வந்து thematic பண்ணா இருக்கிறதுலே bore. But then I do it. So I kind of have a generic theme, and I can do the same arc.
Like what? Like the cosmos or something?
The cosmos, yeah.
Prapancha.
Yeah. It could be.
Jayashree, your take on themes.
Can be stifling. Thematic.
Thematics.
one has accepted, but then
But have you had conversations with your son Amrit about the way he navigates building a career with social media?
before going to Amrit, two things is, one is, it's not good to see how social media influences the audience's likes and preferences, because you keep seeing something very often, and since their presence is so much there, you end up feeling that, oh, it's likable. But the more important and not so good part is that the next generation is having to spend so much time trying to create reels and do stuff, the time that they need to hone their art and skill. So it's only a limited time, which we had the luxury of. We didn't even have a mobile those days.
Yeah.
So we could spend all the time. No recording classes. Everything had to be recorded here. So it stays for a longer time. So that's a challenge, I think. Yeah, so now what was your question about?
With Amrit, what does he do? How does he, as a independent musician and as a film composer who's coming up, how does he handle this?
Yeah, I think he has to learn to navigate learning social media, understanding it, being there, creating your presence there. The worry that they will forget you if you're... The good side is that one can reach audiences
Yeah.
because of social media faster, and a wider audience, which you don't have to personally go there. Like in our times, it was cassettes and CDs. They helped us go to audiences worldwide. So now it's social media, but this is far more challenging.
Yeah, and actually, to speak about the positive impact of social media, I have spoken to music composers who say that they go out on Instagram and actually search for, like, look at music reels and things like that, and identify voices or instrumentalists that are different. And so they actually use that a lot to kind of, because otherwise the people that come to them asking for a chance are all of a certain type. Whereas if they want to go out of the box, they go to this. So
I mean, I appreciate it, but I still think I still like to flag something. You forget that learning to use Instagram
uh-huh.
is a point of great privilege. TikTok was a different beast, so I'll not talk about TikTok. Instagram is framed in a certain aesthetic texture, technical texture, which is a very urban texture, that requires a certain sets of skill sets also to sound, look attractive in a certain manner, right? And I do believe, while I get the point being made, I worry for the talent that is there in so many other places who don't have this. I mean, for example, so many art forms, they don't know how to even take a video, but there's immense talent. So I'm saying you do this. I'm telling these directors do this, but you can't forget that you need to look through other means too.
Yeah.
The problem now is the only means through which these music directors are looking for talent is saying who's the next voice on Instagram. And I have a problem with that. Send your scouts to Trichy. Go to a village near Kanyakumari. Why don't we do that? Because it's not a level playing field. Instagram is not a level playing field. It's a completely stilted and skewed field. I'm saying we should be aware of that.
Right.
All I'm saying is we need other mechanisms of finding talent parallelly with these mechanisms. Otherwise, I worry for people who are not in this environment.
Right. Now, when you say that, you have been instrumental in creating a lot of conversations around what is music, how should it be presented, and other things. Have you found that younger artists have been influenced by your breaking away from what was considered the traditional approach? Or maybe it's a question I should ask them.
I can't be answering that question.
Okay. Do you want to answer that question?
Absolutely, yes. I think a lot of things that we do, starting with the way we sit today, right? I think he has definitely created an impact in terms of opening that space for us to explore a different seating, etc. I think that's just a starting point. Compositionally, I think each one is definitely taking their own route. But again, something like the Porambok song or compositions like that were definitely new ideas brought onto the stage. I
Right.
think that definitely for youngsters it does give an opening to think in those ways, etc. So it's helped definitely.
I agree completely, because I think the most beautiful thing that happened after he kind of branched out and started doing other things while staying Carnatic is the potential of this art form. And the moment you start thinking, I have this craft, what do I do with this craft? Then you get 100 different answers.
Yeah.
And then you have different artists doing different things. And I think that's the most, I'm sure, gratifying thing for him to watch other artists do other things based on that idea that was inspired by, oh, there's a Carnatic musician doing something else with the same craft and having a different dimension to that. So I think it is something that's beautiful.
Do you feel good hearing that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. No doubt about it. Of course. There's no doubt about it.
It's a genuine question.
No. I mean, my genuine answer is of course. I mean, I think the most beautiful part of it is, see, many of the things you do, you just jump into it. You're not really like saying you're changing something, or I don't think anybody really is thinking in that manner. You just do it. And I think what's lovely to see is when you see many more ways of doing things than even what you envisage in your head, through multiple other artists who are taking it in their own directions. Like Ashwath said, compositionally, each one is taking their own journey. Now, the fact that each one can take their journey is what makes me very happy. Of saying like, okay, great. So I think that's wonderful. So in a way, it's not about the individual. Then it becomes about the possibilities that it's opened up, and that's the best part. I actually believe the individual should be forgotten at some point of time, because then there's no point. And then it becomes, the art then moves in multiple directions.
Have you also found that there's this accusation that this art form is restricted to a particular community and there are not enough outsiders? But have you also found that now there's, like, because you've taken it to certain places, not necessarily you alone, but because it has gone to other places, or because of social media, or whatever it is, the spread is more. Do you feel that there is more of a mix now?
Not to the extent that I would like, for sure. Let me first say that. Definitely not. But, I mean, let's think of the time we first had this conversation, which was 2010 or 11, 13. I think.
I'm a brand.
Yeah, that was even before.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Which year was that?
I forget, but...
As an Express.
Yeah.
You were an Express.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you look at that and now, I think it's incredible, the changes. I think the very fact that this question is being asked today,
Publicly, everybody's aware.
right? And it's a public conversation, is itself a huge thing forward, one. And I do believe there are a lot of things that have changed. And they've happened by themselves.
Yeah.
I think there is a mix today, which you may not notice, but there is a mix. And I also think organizations subconsciously, may not be overtly in their head, are doing things that they wouldn't have done 10 years ago. And I think that's great to see. And I also think the fact that Carnatic music today is presented in stages that it was never presented a decade ago. Platforms for it are in platforms that was not happening a decade ago. The collaborations that are happening among Carnatic musicians and other forms was not happening a decade ago. In if I can qualify it, in non-elite kind of spaces. And I think that's wonderful. And I actually think that the next generation is a far more aware generation, far more conscious generation than mine. I really think so. And I think I have a lot to learn from the things they do. And I think that's great. And I really think that they will probably take it. And it's good to watch.
Any closing thoughts from the next generation, so to speak? I think we've gone enough, and it's been a very, very enlightening...
I want to say one thing. I kept this in my mind when I came here. And I said, now we are talking about, Praveen spoke about it. Ashwath also, I think, did, about people doing different things, being in different genres. We have two people here who did that when this was not even a conversation.
Yeah.
Jayashree and Shobana.
Yeah.
Right? And it's It's the world that forgets because of social media. But the fact is, you had these people doing what you would call multiple genres. I mean, the mind was not thinking in that manner. And you just did it, and you just understood, they just understood the different spaces, they understood the different aesthetic environments. And I think that it's important for us to state these things nowadays.
Right. And most importantly, they didn't judge.
Exactly. I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's very important that they were able to do all that and belong in all those spaces and not look down from the other or on the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite beautiful. And I want to state it here today because, especially because in the Instagram era, everything is hyped to the power of N through 3 reels.
Hype max.
Yeah. So I think it's important this conversation that's acknowledged.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. So
I think Anna was right. Definitely, this music has started growing in spaces it did not exist in 10 years, 20 years ago. Generationally, I think personalities of musicians have also become a little more open in terms of being able to have conversations, being able to find some kind of middle ground in artistry when they are collaborating with someone else. Openness to kind of have a collaborative mindset in the first place. I think that's increased, and that's the reason why these spaces are forming. And I think one thing that can happen is for organizations to also look at it that way and open up, the way this music is presented. I think today it's still, at least the Carnatic music organizations are looking at kacheri presentation a little unilaterally. I think that can also be opened up a bit, and that will make more musicians come in, because I also feel like if Carnatic music is not taken up by a youngster today, there's a certain intimidation that's there, and if that can be opened up, I think definitely we see a future for more people to take it in.
I have a small question for you there. Now, since everything is crammed into, at least the big season is December, right? And it's called Margari, whatever. Now, if it were to open up round the year, right? It's like so you have the same kind of intensity, but concerts happening round the year. Do you think that more people will get a chance to get prestigious stages and get notices from people that might not have noticed them earlier?
I think concerts are happening in December for a reason, because it's not just the Chennai crowd, but there is a larger crowd that comes in, and hence the whole hype about that month.
Right. But that also restricts the number of people that can perform, is my question.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So I think repetitions can be reduced and more opportunities can be created for the others. That's probably one way, but I don't think we can make it an all year-round thing if you want the same kind of...
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what I often tell about films, which is like, I say that part of the responsibility is also with the audience, because if you are going to watch films on OTT, and then films are going to be made for the audiences that actually visit the theatres.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no point in saying, oh, they don't make movies like they used to, or whatever it is, because then everybody was going to watch it in the theatres and giving money then. Now you're waiting for it to come to OTT and listen. So what happens is, then theatres, they encourage only the films that they think will do well, you know, or as they say, run, you know, like in a theatre. So that's a very, I think, the audience sometimes needs to own up a bit of the responsibility and say, I will not just go to a tmkrishna or a Jesh or a Shobana or an Ashwath or a Praveen, but I will also go to maybe a younger singer and just like he said, just go in, check out 20 minutes. If you like it, stay. If you don't like it, that's fine. What have you lost? It's 20 minutes. But the point is that, because the reason is also that the season becomes about, let's say, 10 artists. And people following those 10 artists to wherever they go, whatever it is. And I'm not blaming those people, but I'm saying that there's tremendous concentration of the floodlights on few people, and the rest of them are left to their own devices. This is what I feel.
Isn't that an Indian bane, the star culture?
It's also not only the audience, it's also the artist's responsibility, isn't it, to take it out. So if example, you're saying we are all very wary of doing certain things. You're such prolific artists, right? And you're still there saying, எனக்கு இது பண்றதுக்கு பயமா இருக்கு. The artists before us have set like a precedence of such magic, and then would we be? Of course, you're capable of it. That's what I was trying to say. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got so far. Is it you didn't get here only because of Instagram? You got because of your own phenomenal talent, right? So artists also should have that guts to go out there and start their stuff. And we never had all of those things that you guys did. So it was just doing one performance, word of mouth. We hope that particular sabha books us the next year, and they will. And then because that particular sabha booked us, 2 years later some other sabha will come and book you. So this was a hard innings kind of thing. Over 20-25 years we've kind of done that, right? So you guys have the luxury of Instagram. So I don't think that it's only the audience, it's also the artist. Go out and do what you were born to do, and people will always come. You don't need to depend upon anything, you know. So and also critics இல்ல, எழுதுறதுக்கு ஆள் இல்ல. அப்போ நம்மளோட அப்போ social மீடியால போங்க, it's definitely going to work. So you can't just blame some business, uh, like a Sabha or something, that அவங்க போடலன்னு இல்ல. It is also your responsibility to be heard and seen. So if you're going to sit and say, oh, I'm only talking about dance, okay? I'm saying if you're going to say, oh, இந்த critic இப்படி எழுதிறான், மேபி என்னோட குரு சொல்லி கொடுத்ததெல்லாம் தப்பு, நான் வந்து மாத்திட்டு இப்படி ஆடுறேன், அப்படி பண்ணா இங்கேயும் இல்லை அங்கேயும் இல்லை. So you need to have conviction. You also need to read. You need to know history. It's not you wearing a costume, having some phenomenal talent and then doing. There's so many other things. History is very important. To know the lyrics, everything is important. So adana first varatom. Adana you need to know even the meanings of the song, the lyrics. Ava lyrics tappa padina என்ன ஆறுது, மீனிங்கே மாறும் இல்லையா? ஸோ இது எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சதுக்கு இதெல்லாம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நீங்கள் நம்ம அந்த வேலையை செய்யணும். ஓகே, தென் we can say இவங்க ப்ரமோட் பண்ணல. பட் artists have the first responsibility is what I think.
Praveen?
Yeah, I mean, like, I do agree with what...
in this particular scenario, when we're talking about this, is what I think. You can't like always blame it. So finally, you'll only be the loser. If you're just trying to say, நம்மள இப்படி போடலை, அவங்க இந்த மாதிரி போடலை, இந்த சபா எங்களை போடலை, இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணால் 10 பேர் தானே போட்டுட்டே இருக்கோம்னா, அப்போ there has to be a way around it.
No, I think what I wasn't saying that it's only the audience. I was trying to say the audience is also part of the issue, because if I'm going to follow his Instagram or whatever it is, I'm unaware of many others that are talented, and sometimes if you like a, because it's just too much out there.
So you're only talking about audience. It's not only the Sabha, isn't it? It's so many other kind of things.
Yeah.
Temple festivals, government organizations, ellame irukade. So everybody has to take the equal blame.
So I think we do have performances throughout the year. Just in Chennai, like we performed during the season.
Yeah, you go tour travel.
அவ்வளவு வெட்டியா இல்லைன்னு சொல்றீங்க. சரி, ஓகே.
Not what I was talking about.
He's
He's a genuine rock star. He's so much in demand, you know that. Yeah.
There's also a general understanding that, okay, what do you do rest of the year? Or you play concerts in the evening, do you go for work in the morning? Is a general question.
Sorry, on a lighter note, நீயாவது டிசம்பர்ல வாசிக்கிற ஏன் சிச்சுவேஷன் டிசம்பர்ல அப்போ என்னதான் பண்றீங்க நீங்க? டிசம்பர்லயும் கச்சேரி கிடையாது, அப்போ ஜனவரி நவம்பர் அப்பயும் வெட்டி நான் பாடுறது கிடையாது. வருஷம் பூரா ஒன்றும் கிடையாது இருக்கு.
There are actually way too many things happening, and if you're someone who's willing to explore, actually you really have to navigate time and your mind space more than like trying to find what you want to do next. But I'll just do the closing thing. I'm just so glad that I'm here, because we have 3 incredible minds who did very inspiring things, and I think that's so important for artists like us to take something from that and to move and do what we can do. So thank you for agreeing, and thank you for having me in this room. So I just wanted to say that
இப்படியெல்லாம் மூட முடியாது.
No, I just
This is
like a very genuine
No,
thing.
he's giving a closing address.
ரொம்ப cycle அது.
Okay, Jayashree, please give a
Jayashree,
closing.
sum up the entire conversation, Jayashree, please.
Not sum up. It's just leave us on a note that's going to end on a high.
I think it has been a fabulous conversation from 5 of us, different backgrounds, different career paths, different trainings, different minds. And this sure will resonate with audiences, and I'm sure this is the beginning of many more roundtables with multiple artists from different genres. Thanks, Bharadwaj, for having us all.
Thank you, seriously. Thank you all for accepting the invitation, and it's genuinely been great talking to all of you. I've spoken to some of you on an individual basis, but this is what the energy of a roundtable is, because people going cross, and talking to each other. I think that has been very, very productive. Thank you, and have a great December season. Those of you who are having a season, no, Krishna, I'm not looking at you. And
It's not like zero. Come on.
I know, it's not zero, but he's got so he's got a point. So anyway, thanks all, and have a wonderful December. And thank you.
Title sponsor, the Chennai Silks. Let the celebration begin. Grand Royal Tours. We make sweet memories. MCR Pure Cotton Club. Formal and casual shirts. Presta Women's Wear. அனைத்திலும் பெஸ்டா பிரஸ்டா இன்னோவேர் leggings and nighties. Presents Galatta plus Carnatic mega round table. Supported by KFC. Full on variety, full on chicken. Milky Mist. Login 360. Start your dream IT career. Powered by Jayachandran. குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம். தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில். Jayachandran. Darling Solar. 20500 முன்பணத்தில் இப்போது சோலார் மூலம் இலவச மின்சாரம். Hospitality partner Hilton Chennai.